Tonight, All Progressives Congress presidential candidate Chief Bola Tinubu meets with captains of industry in Lagos, promises to revive dead industries and achieve double-digit GDP growth if elected president. Presidential candidate of the new Nigeria People's Party, Rabiu Kwankwaso, pledges to ensure free entry examinations for students who seek an admission into tertiary institutions if elected president. Shocked and grief-stricken fans, celebrities and presidential candidates commiserate with Davido and Chioma over the death of their 3-year-old son as police question their domestic staff.
On Business News tonight, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries projects natural gas to lift Africa's access to electricity by 38% in 2050.
On Sports News tonight, FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup bronze-winning Flamingos return to Nigeria as Sports Ministry promises lavish reception for the team.
And from Abuja, the nation's capital, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo urges miners to stick to industry standards, promises enabling environment for sector to thrive at the 7th Mining Conference here in Abuja.
And in international news from London, South Korea's police chief has said their emergency response to the Itaewon crush was inadequate, the first acknowledgement from officials that they did not do enough to prevent it.
Political atmosphere in the country is getting charged as the presidential candidates present their manifesto to the public. Well, the presidential candidate of the new Nigeria People's Party, Mr. Rabiu Kwankwaso, says he will increase the strength of Nigeria's armed forces to 1 million as he plans to recruit 750,000 personnel if he's elected to office. Well, speaking at the presentation of his manifesto in Abuja, the NNPP candidate identified increasing the size and capacity of Nigerian armed forces as one way he will address the country's security situation. Mr. Kwankwaso says he will also review the current fuel subsidy regime, which he describes as very corrupt.
Leaders of the new Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, its presidential candidate, Mr. Rabiu Kwankwaso, and other members of the party gather to unveil the manifesto of the party's presidential candidate for the 2023 general election. However, before the unveiling, both the national chairman of the party and his presidential candidate give highlights of the document.
He has the interest of Nigeria in terms of security, economy, education, healthcare, and everything. All of us here, we are following because we believe in you. Because even with our eyes closed, we can follow you because we know you are taking us to the record path of progress and development in this country.
We must leave no stone unturned in our quest for a new and better Nigeria, a Nigeria where justice and fairness rule, a Nigeria where safety and security are assured, and a Nigeria where governance is about the yearnings and aspirations of all the citizens.
Please, can you give chance for the press to...
Flanked by other leaders of the party, the presidential candidate then unveils his manifesto, which is a 152-page document containing how he plans to run his government if elected into office in 2023.
Congratulations.
In the document, the candidate speaks about recruiting 750,000 personnel into the armed forces, restoring fiscal discipline, improving non-oil revenue, as well as ensuring key reforms in the nation's revenue-generating agencies. The candidate also bears his mind on his plans for the fuel subsidy regime.
It's very important that we look at the subsidy. The way we have it on the ground today is not going to be acceptable. We have a lot of corruption, everybody knows. And these are things that we have to check. We have to ensure value for money.
Having unveiled his manifesto, electorates now have a document that they can scrutinize to see how much of their aspirations are met and take a decision on who to vote for in the 2023 presidential election.
Well, for the candidate of the All Progressives Congress who had earlier released his manifesto, he met with the captains of industry here in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital, as well as other key private sector players, where he promised that his administration will achieve double-digit GDP growth and revive Nigeria's dead industries if elected in 2023. Our correspondent, Olumide Macaulay, reports.
Eko Hotel and Suites, Victoria Island in Lagos, is the next port of call for the Tinubu political trail, as the APC presidential candidate makes an appearance for a town hall meeting, a public dialogue with the business community and private sector movers and shakers. The attendees include Jim Ovia, Agumokade, Aliko Dangote, Tony Alumelu, state governors, and other top dignitaries.
If you can please locate a seat upstairs there and not just...
For the keynote speaker, the APC presidential candidate, the private sector and the government should work hand in hand.
Regular dialogue. All Nigeria must invested in a better future. We must maintain the channels and spirit of respectful and productive dialogue. At the same time, at times, what I say may help you. Other times, what you say may enlighten me. I must listen.
He also speaks on the salient issues, including power and security.
I am determined. Dear Nigerians, I am determined, I repeat, to give you the affordable and reliable power you need to drive your businesses in a way that lifts the entire economy and ordinary person. With my thought on security, we shall continue to fight against insecurity.
When it was the turn of the vice presidential candidate Kashim Shettima to speak, he takes a dig at their political opponents.
Leadership goes beyond spewing dubious statistics or basking in a mediocre performance as the governor of Anambra State. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I respect Atiku Abubakar. But leadership goes beyond unstatement-like rantings, someone who cannot unite his own party. I wonder how he's going to unite this nation.
The political gladiators have long thrown their hats in the ring for the presidential contest come 2023. What remains now are events such as these to ingratiate themselves with the voting public for Election Day. Olumide Macaulay, Channels Television News.
For the Labour Party, the presidential manifesto may not be in public domain just yet, but its presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, is in Benue State to show empathy over the recent security breaches in the state. Mr. Obi, who was a guest of the Benue State Governor Samuel Ortom at his official residence in Makurdi, the state capital, commended his host for the passion which he has shown in confronting the challenges of insecurity, even at his personal expense. Meanwhile, Governor Ortom advised Mr. Obi, whom he believes has good presidential credentials, to negotiate power with other leading presidential candidates, while reiterating that if he was not a member of the PDP, he would have been working for Mr. Obi.
The government of Nigeria have not responded adequately. They have not shown compassion. A leadership comes with compassion, comes with listening, comes with understanding. Even those people in IDP, how many people from federal government have come to visit them? That is what you do. That's what shows that you're committed to Nigeria. Benue, for example, I keep saying it is a huge state. This is a 34,000 square kilometers of land of a state with 4 million people. What you can do with Benue will shock you if I have the opportunity. It will shock you. These are states that we could have. After 4 years, the people will say, thank God they met this man. Because there is a lot to do with this place.
Let me say this again. Where we are in our country, Nigeria, today, we should not be looking at party. We should not be looking at where someone comes from. But we should be looking at the capacity of a personality that will be able to deliver us from the mess we are in Nigeria today. And Peter Obi, from your antecedent, you have the capacity.
Well, one more story on the APC presidential candidate, this time in the courts, where the Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Kalibaba, has told a federal high court in Abuja that Chief Bola Tinubu has no pending petition or criminal matters with the police anywhere in the country and is not a suspect to the Nigerian police. According to him, the reason the police did not go after Chief Tinubu is contained in an affidavit filed at the Federal High Court in Abuja by counsel Wisdom Madaki. In a counter-affidavit in a suit instituted by a civil group seeking an order of mandamus to compel the IGP to arrest and prosecute Chief Tinubu for perjury and certificate forgery, the IGP maintains that the police have no power to prosecute him without any known offense committed. He explains that the two petitions were predicated on allegations that had been adjudicated upon by the Supreme Court in 2002 in a suit filed by the late foremost human rights activist, Chief Gani Fawemi. The affidavit averred that since the alleged perjury and certificate forgery had been resolved by the Supreme Court, there was no need for the police to reopen the matter. More stories now. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arrested the Kogi State House of Assembly candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Ismaila Atumeyi, with the sum of 326 million naira and $140,500 cash. Mr. Atumeyi, who is seeking to represent Ankpa 2 constituency, was arrested on Sunday, October the 30th at Queen's Estate, Gwarimpa, Abuja, alongside an alleged fraudster, one Joshua Dominic, over the hacking of one of the commercial banks, a heist said to be worth 1.4 billion naira. Also arrested in connection with the case is one Abdulmalik Femi, a former bank employee who allegedly supplied inside information that facilitated the attack on the bank by the syndicate. Following his arrest in Lagos, a search was conducted on his home in Morgan Estate, Ojodu, where a total of $470,000 was said to have been recovered. And a day after President Muhammadu Buhari departed Nigeria for a medical leave in the United Kingdom, elder statesman Chief Edwin Clark believes the president breached Section 145 of the 1999 Constitution, which mandates him to transmit power to the vice president by communicating his absence to the president of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Speaking at a briefing in Abuja, the former Federal Commissioner for Information, who is of the opinion that the president cannot preside over the affairs of a country while in London, also berated the president for what he describes as his lack of empathy towards Nigerians who have been affected by floods.
For Mr. President to jet out to London, which he has been doing for over 3 times now, without handing over power to the vice president, is illegal, it's unconstitutional. Section 1645 says, whenever the president leaves in this country for medical reasons, he must transfer power to, it shall inform, transmit to the, it will transmit to the National Assembly, to the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. That will be a way. And And during that period, the Vice President is empowered by the Constitution to perform the duties of Mr. President. The word shall is used, or may. So the President has no discretion. It is mandatory.
Still ahead on the news at 10, condolences pour in for Davido and his partner Chioma over the death of their son as police question domestic staff. Well, that's in a moment. Just stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. All Progressives Congress presidential candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu meets with captains of industry in Lagos, promises to revive dead industries and achieve double-digit GDP growth if elected president. Presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Rabiu Kwankwaso, pledges to ensure free entry examinations for students seeking admission into tertiary institutions if elected president. Shocked and grief-stricken fans, celebrities and presidential candidates commiserate with Davido and Chioma over the death of their 3-year-old son as police question their domestic staff. And South Korea's police chief admits emergency response to the Itaewon crash was inadequate. The first acknowledgement from officials that they did not do enough to prevent it. To the aviation sector, it's a sigh of relief for passengers as the strike embarked upon today by the Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria against Courtney Aviation Services Limited has been called off after the operators of the airport agreed to recall the laid-off members of the union and pay their salaries. The agreement was reached at a meeting constituted by the Ministry of Labour and Employment, the NCAA, FAN, NAMA, and airport security agencies. As early as 2 a.m. today, the union had barricaded the Murtala Mohammed Airport 2 terminal in Lagos over the sacking, which the union says did not follow due process. Our aviation correspondent, Kola Jo Ketumbi, reports on the event before the strike was called off.
For several hours, 2 tents sprawl across the main entrance of the Murtala Mohammed Airport 2 as aviation union members ground operations at the terminal. Their grouse is not unconnected with the sack of 34 members of staff, which include 4 union members at the airport.
The reason why they now gave these people leave of absence, forced leave of absence, as stated in their letter, is that they wanted to examine the efficiency of the terminal. That's all. It's not that they have been found wanting. It's not that they have been queried or anything.
While the protest goes on, the connecting roads around here also bear the burden of congestion.
While aviation union members and the management of Courtney Aviation Services are yet to settle the issues between them, the worst hit in this scenario are the passengers who cannot fly through this terminal behind me and have to make alternative plans.
When I got to the gates, I saw that the gate has been closed. I don't know what is happening, and they didn't tell us anything will be happening today. The airline did not reach out to us to tell us anything, and I have not checked my email if the flight has been rescheduled or whatsoever.
While flight activities at MMA2 is non-existent, some airlines have moved their operations to the General Aviation Terminal, which is not far away.
It's been very, very difficult. We have been standing here for almost like 1 hour now for me, because I left there and I came here to wait. They say it's going to be, we will start checking in by about 3 o'clock. After a while, they say it's 3:30.
It's been annoying actually, because I'm supposed to have an interview today, and the plan was to get to Abuja as early as possible. But because of the delay and all that, they shifted the flight to 5 o'clock, which means that I have to miss my interview.
Meanwhile, Courtney Aviation Services Limited, operators of the MMA2, in a statement, said the union did not give proper notice of this closure, which it describes as damaging behavior. It also alleges that the union disregarded a court order issued by the National Industrial Court not to lock up its premises. Bukola Joe Oketumbi, Channels Television News.
Well, it's a sad day for the family of multiple award-winning Nigerian Afrobeats artist David Adeleke, popularly known as Davido, and his fiancée Chioma, who are mourning the death of their 3-year-old son, Ifeanyi. The police public relations officer in Lagos State, Benjamin Hundeyin, told Channels Television that Ifeanyi, who only turned 3 years last week, drowned in a family pool at his father's Banana Island residence on Monday, adding that even though no arrest has been made, some domestic staff have been brought in for questioning. Meanwhile, shocked and grief-stricken fans, celebrities and politicians have taken to social media to commiserate with the family.
Singer Davido and his son Ifeanyi enjoying a good swim just a few days ago. None of them knew tragedy was lurking on the eve of November, a month Davido had described as a month of blessings. He has lined up 3 gigs, including one for the inauguration of his uncle as the 10th governor of Osun State, and promised a new single afterwards. Then, tragedy struck. It started as a rumor, a bad joke taken too far, and then gradually, it became confirmed. Ifeanyi, the 3-year-old son of the multiple award-winning singer and his fiancée Chioma Rowland, has died. He drowned in a family swimming pool in his father's Banana Island residence. Soon, the grief could not be contained. It spread as fast as the news. Fans, colleagues, associates, and other well-wishers expressed sympathy for the Adeleke family. The front-running candidates of the 2023 Nigerian presidential elections, Atiku Abubakar, Bola Tinubu, and Peter Obi, have all sent condolence messages to the Stand Tall singer.
Papa told me keep your head up high, even though your body full of bite marks from all them canines.
Grief-stricken celebrities both at home and abroad have also taken to their social media handles to commiserate with Davido and Chioma over Ifeanyi's death. British rapper and singer Stephanie Allen, popularly known by her stage name Stefflon Don, took to her verified Twitter handle to pray for the singer. Nigerian rapper M.I, with a broken heart emoji, sent his love to Davido and Chioma. Ace comedian Ayo Makun, popularly known as AY, singer YJ, Iyabo Ojo, and many others have also paid tribute to the late Ifeanyi. Also, the Osun State chapter of the People's Democratic Party has suspended all political activities for the week over the death of Ifeanyi. Meanwhile, the police said about 8 domestic workers of the singer have been invited for questioning, and a review of the CCTV on the premises is also ongoing.
Well, yet another tragedy in Lagos, as at least 4 people are said to have lost their lives in an explosion which occurred at a generator house in a facility to be used by one of the nation's commercial banks located on Adeola Odeku Street, Victoria Island, Lagos. The explosion was said to have been caused by sparks from the welding of a tank meant for fuel storage within the premises. 2 of the victims were said to have died instantly, while 2 others died afterwards from their injuries. Several other injuries were also reported, according to eyewitness. A vehicle belonging to the Rapid Response Squad of the police was also burnt in the inferno. However, the facility was not affected. Still ahead on the news at 10, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, projects natural gas to lift Africa's access to electricity by 38% in 2050. Well, that's on business news. To join us again. Well, let's now head over to our Abuja studio where Mokwe Ogunyusuf has more stories on the news at 10. Hello, Mokwe.
Hello, Coyote. It's good to see you. It's some encouragement here from the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who's urging miners across the country to stick to industry standards and invest in skills acquisition, promising that the federal government will continue to play its part in ensuring an enabling environment for the sector to thrive. He was speaking at the opening ceremony of the 7th edition of Nigeria's Mining Week and the launch of the electronic mining cadastral system. The three-day event is a chance for miners to create value amid market volatility and the race to net zero. Our State House correspondent Kayla Megwa reports.
The global mining industry is experiencing unprecedented changes. Demands for critical minerals continue to surge. With climate change and insecurity, operating environments have become more challenging, and new players are emerging from all over the world. Nigeria's mining sector contributes an average of 0.46% to the country's gross domestic product, despite coal mining being the second fastest growing sector in the second quarter of 2022. This is mostly because over 80% of mining in Nigeria is artisanal and small scale. Addressing the issues that negatively affect Nigeria's mining sector at the heart of conversations at the 7th edition of Nigeria's Mining Week. The Minister of Mines and Steel Development highlights the need to mainstream artisanal mining in Nigeria.
The ministry is working with experienced professionals to scale up its knowledge of formalization techniques and build up its ability on real-time data collection of artisanal mining sites in the country to aid the formalization into mining cooperatives and mineral enterprises.
According to the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, the Buhari administration has made the highest investment in the mining sector in the history of Nigeria. However, skill acquisition and being mindful of the negative impacts of exploration on the environment must guide the activities of miners in the country.
The government will continue to intensify its regulatory and supervisory role in ensuring that mining is held to the highest standards of sustainable development and intergenerational equity. A transaction advisor has been appointed to concession the Ajaokuta Steel Company and the Nigerian Iron Ore Mining Company, Itakpe. The selection process is going on, and our commitment is to break what appears to be a jinx on Ajaokuta Steel Complex and actualize the dream of a vibrant steel sector.
The Vice President proceeds to launch the electronic mining system and tours the exhibition. The conversations that will be had here in the next 3 days will be crucial towards repositioning Nigeria's mining sector to meet world best practices. Artisanal mining, climate change, the Ajaokuta Steel Company. A lot of these issues were touched on by the Vice President during his speech, calling for a more disciplined, more vibrant mining sector that will contribute greatly to Nigeria's development. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
Talking multilateral security, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Jeffrey Onyema, says the multinational joint task force has significantly degraded the capacity of Boko Haram and its allied international group. He stated this at the opening of the inaugural Lessons Learned Forum on African Union Peace Support Operations and the African Standby Force in Abuja. The three-day meeting has in attendance participants from over 50 member states of the African Union. And bringing it back home, there's no smoke without fire. That's the position of the Minister of Defense, retired Major General Bashir Magashi, on the terror alerts from the United States and the United Kingdom. But he adds that the armed forces is on top of the situation. Major General Magashi also says the Minister of Foreign Affairs is interacting with the U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria to ensure that such information is responsibly disseminated and dealt with subsequently. He was speaking during the budget defense of the ministry before the House of Representatives Committee on Defense. And that's all from Abuja. It's back now to you, Coyote.
Well, thanks a lot, Mark Ware. As a company news now, telecommunications solutions provider Globacom is set to give out 20 houses, 25 brand new cars and other prizes to customers across the country as it commences its year-end annual promo tagged Festival of Joy. The promo is a customer appreciation initiative where subscribers are given the opportunity to win amazing prizes worth hundreds of millions of naira as reward for their loyalty and patronage. During a press conference in Lagos, the company says it is another initiative that reinforces its commitment to empowering its subscribers.
Since 2003, Globacom has consistently led from the front with innovation, quality service delivery, and unparalleled benefits which come in form of bonuses and promotions.
The TV commercials and the radio commercials.
Continuing in this tradition, the telecommunication giant, through the Festival of Joy promo, announces prizes bigger and more attractive than what was offered at last year's Joy Unlimited Extravaganza.
Lucky customers would win 20 houses, 25 brand new cars, and other prize made up of 100 generators, 200 sewing machines, and 1,000 rechargeable fans, among others. To win, voice and data subscriber only have to dial the dedicated short code, which is *611#. That's the magic number. *611#, and recharge between 3,000 and 15,000 for voice and data during the promo period. They will automatically become eligible to win prizes on offer. The more charges, the higher the chances of winning.
With prizes like no other.
To drive this promo, the company activates a television commercial and jingles in English, Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa languages.
We believe that when we empower our customers, when we empower our subscribers, give them homes. I mean, anybody you give a shelter to, you provide home to, you've done a whole lot for that person. It's something that they can pass from one generation to the other.
The Festival of Joy promo will run from November the 1st, 2022 to January the 31st, 2023. Globacom says it will continue to roll out more value-added products and services designed to offer Nigerians the best-in-class telecom experience.
Glow Festival of Joy promo.
Well, let's now take you back to our earlier story on the budget defense of the Ministry of Defense before the House of Representatives Committee, where the Minister of Defense, retired Major General Bashir Magashi, said there is no smoke without fire while responding to the terror alert from the United States and United Kingdom, also adding that the armed forces are on top of the situation.
It's one of the busiest times in the National Assembly. The annual ritual where heads of government ministries, departments and agencies report to Parliament to defend their budgets for the incoming year. The Chief of Army Staff is before the Senate Committee on Army. He discloses recent development in the Army and draws the attention of the committee to its funding challenges.
I must state, without missing word, that the expansion of the Nigerian Army has continued to impact significantly on the human resources and lean finances available to the Nigerian Army. This therefore calls for a review of the current envelope budgeting system. So the envelope system leads to inadequate funding of the Nigerian Army for the performance of its constitutional mandate.
The committee chairman requests that the rest of the meeting holds behind closed doors. After the budget defense session, the chairman committee on Army briefs journalists on the matters discussed during the meeting.
So the committee have resolved to invite the Minister of Finance to emphasize the need to make releases to the Nigerian Army because it is a different institution facing different challenges at this time.
My name is...
In another meeting room, the Minister of Defense is before a standing committee to defend the ministry's 2023 budget. However, a committee member raises a matter which involves the condition of a Navy ship, the NNS Aradu.
It is agonizing, really, for us and for this nation to be having an asset, a whole flagship of the second wing of the Nigerian military, lying idle. With that ship, could have made a difference in the Nigerian security architecture.
The committee chair calls for the meeting to continue behind closed doors in what has become a regular practice in budget defense sessions involving security agencies. Speaking with journalists after the executive session, the committee chairman says members have asked the Minister of Defense to go with the budget and return only after he has cleared himself with the Senate ad hoc committee investigating the condition of the NNS Aradu. Meanwhile, in the House of Representatives, the Minister of Defense, while appearing before the Committee on Defense, reacts to a question on the terror alert by the US and UK embassies.
I think what we need is prayers from the United States not giving us information that will make our citizens either confused or not be able to take appropriate action. And our Minister of Foreign Affairs is taking that up to ensure that information of such nature are brought to the notice of the ministry before disseminating it to other into the society.
The Minister of Defense and the Chief of Army Staff are unanimous in their call for the military to be exempted from the envelope budgeting system. Linda Kibi, Channels Television News.
Well, let's switch gears now. Willa Bong is here with the latest business stories on the news at 10.
Thanks, Coyote. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, says natural gas is expected to cover 38% of the total rise in Africa's electricity supply by 2050. OPEC, in its latest World Oil Outlook report, projects that natural gas will likely be the preferred fuel in power generation to enable accelerated electrification across the continent alongside renewables. The report says natural gas is Africa's greatest opportunity to help alleviate energy poverty and enhance the quality of life, especially in sub-Saharan Africa. It's a new dawn for Davido Microfinance Bank Limited as the company unveils its new logo after starting operations as a unit microfinance in 2014, then growing to a state institution 2 years later. Davido, now DDMFB, is proud to have successfully recapitalized according to the requirements of the Central Bank of Nigeria and looks forward to widening its growth and customer base.
Numerous MSME, medium, small, micro, small, medium customers, the bank, the other bank, we have tried with all our strength, supported by God, to bring them into the financial landscape in this country. They are currently enjoying our unhindered access to sustainable financial services that guarantee prosperity and financial freedom. That is indeed our motto. We are no more in bondage. For everyone who thinks he cannot access funds, contact Davido. There we are.
Now, for other money matters, operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission have raided the offices of some black market currency dealers in Abuja on Tuesday in an effort to slow down the rapid fall of the naira. This action is coming at a time when the Central Bank of Nigeria said it will replace some currencies with higher notes to fight counterfeiting, inflation, and insecurity. The naira crossed the 800 mark for the first time last week, and the decline has shown no sign of abating. Now to the equities market, where stocks dipped further on the second day of trading as investors continue to take profits. Laddie Williams has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, it looks like the local bourse is towing the trend we saw in October. It's a brand new month. Let's look at the all-share index there, down 0.21%, 43,745. Talking about the all-share index, 23.827 trillion. That's the market cap for today. Let's look at the activity chart. Still mostly green, just like we had yesterday. Just deals in the red, 4,110 deals. So we're seeing selling pressure in the market today. Let's look at the top gainers there. Nigerian Aviation Handling Company topping that counter, closing at 6 naira to cover, up 9.35%. And we see Regal Alliance there, up 4.35%, and UPDC. Let's look at the top losers counter. We see Seplat there, the big one there, putting pressure on the market. It's down 8.33%. Julius Berger there, also down 9.46%. So it's a negative market breadth today. We see just 13 stocks gaining about against 19 decliners. Too early to call the trend for November, but it's kicking off in the red. And that's the stock market report. I'm Ladi Williams. It's back to you.
And that's it on Business News. It's back to Kayode for the rest of the news.
Well, thank you, Will. To the foreign scene now, where South Korea's police chief, Yoon Hee-kyun, has admitted emergency response was inadequate during the disaster that left over 100 people dead over the weekend, and that he feels heavy responsibility. Well, mountain evidence experts and a series of official apologies have revealed glaring failures. Simon Pusey has more and Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. South Korea's police chief has said their emergency response to the Itaewon crush was inadequate, the first acknowledgement from officials that they did not do enough to prevent it. Amid growing calls for accountability, Yoon Hee-kyun said he felt limitless responsibility about public safety over what happened. He vowed a full investigation. Interior Minister Lee Sang-min also apologized for the incident that killed 156 people and injured 152 others. It happened on Saturday night as crowds gathered in an alley in Itaewon, a popular nightlife district in Seoul, to celebrate Halloween without restrictions for the first time since COVID-19. President Vladimir Putin has said Russia is suspending but not ending its participation in a major deal that allows safe passage to vessels carrying Ukraine grain exports. Moscow pulled out of the UN-brokered agreement on Saturday, alleging that Ukraine had used a safety corridor in the Black Sea to attack its fleet. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the deal would be honoured and accused Russia of blackmailing the world with hunger, a claim Russia denies. The UN-led coordination centre said that despite the fallout, 3 vessels loaded with grain left Ukrainian ports on Tuesday. Lorry drivers in Brazil, loyal to President Jair Bolsonaro, have blocked roads across the country after his poll defeat to leftist rival Lula. Blockages were reported in all but 2 states, causing considerable disruption and affecting food supply chains. The incumbent far-right president has neither conceded defeat nor challenged the results that divided the nation.
Bolsonaro.
There are concerns that the outgoing president could complicate the 2-month transition period before Lula is due to be sworn in on the 1st of January next year. New drone footage shows rescue workers and security personnel looking for the missing as the number of people killed when a suspension bridge in India snapped rose to 135. Indian Army, Navy and National Disaster Response teams were in their 3rd day of search operations, removing waterweed to help the process and involving deep water divers to help search efforts. The colonial-era suspension bridge over the Machu River in Morbi was packed with sightseers when it broke on Sunday evening, sending people plunging about 33 feet into the water. Dozens of protesters have called for the resignation of the Chief Minister of Gujarat on Tuesday. Police arrested 9 people on charges of culpable homicide. Elon Musk has dissolved Twitter's board of directors, cementing his control over the social media platform. The multi-billionaire will be its chief executive after buying the company last week, ending months of back and forth over the $44 billion deal. He has moved quickly to put his mark on the firm, which is used by politicians and journalists around the world. The reforms he is contemplating include changes for how Twitter verifies accounts, as well as job cuts.
Look, I think for Twitter, it's going to be a rough go, over the coming months to sort of get past this stage. And I think a lot of hurdles. This is going to be very difficult. Culturally, Musk and Twitter exact opposites. And I think it's going to take time here. He's going to fire a lot of people. And I don't expect champagne dinners anytime soon at Twitter headquarters. A lot of tough work to be done first. And that's going to be one of his challenges.
And finally, almost 100 dogs and cats have gathered to compete in a fierce battle for the best Halloween costume in Lima. The furry contestants arrived at the event wearing all kinds of costumes: a Batman cat, a witch chihuahua, and a charismatic pit bull dressed as a bee, and even a spooky pug dressed as Chucky were among the attendees. According to local authorities, the contest was organised to promote respect and care for animals. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. The Flamingos of Nigeria have arrived the country from India after winning the bronze at the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. The team, led by coach Bankole Oluwakere, arrived this afternoon at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja to a warm reception by the Nigeria Football Federation and football fans. Nigeria defeated Germany 3-2 on penalties to win the third-place match. It's the first time the Flamingos have reached this stage since the inception of the tournament.
I'm a coach. I've won this one. I just have to celebrate this one with my family, with the rest of my millions of Nigerians, because they were watching me on the television and they were praying for me, praying for the team. We have achieved this one, and it's time for me to rejoice with fellow Nigerians.
We need on our knee and be praying that God do this for us, consider us in our inside the sun, inside the rain that we used to train. Just do this for us so we can make our president to be proud.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sunday Dare, has commended the World Cup bronze-winning Flamingos for making Nigeria proud. The minister observed that the team's success at the competition was attributed to a synergy anchored by the coaching crew. He confirmed that President Muhammadu Buhari will host the team at a later date. The football with which Diego Maradona scored his infamous Hand of God goal in the 1986 FIFA World Cup quarter-final, knocking England out of the championship, is on display in the UK ahead of a World Cup-themed auction on November the 16th. The ball, an Adidas Azteca from the Mexico 1986 World Cup, is expected to fetch up to £3 million. The auctioneer, Graham Budd, described the match as one of the messiest games in the history of football, played at the Azteca Stadium in Mexico City. And that's a wrap in sports news. I'm Ayo Tunde. Balogun's back to you, Kaidi.
Thank you, Ayotunde. And the main news again. The All Progressives Congress presidential candidate Bola Tinubu today met with business owners in Lagos, where he promised to revive dead industries and achieve a double-digit GDP growth if elected into office in 2023. Well, that's the news at 10 for tonight, everyone. Thank you for watching. I'm Kayode Okikulu. Good night.